major holiday coming
I
up.
know.
Well, we've got John in Tallahassee. How are you?
Hello. Good. I wanted to talk about that billboard that was recently put up by the American Atheist Association in Times Square that said, "Who needs Christ and Christmas? Nobody." Do you have any comments about that? Because that just really offends me.
So what? I mean, I understand that it offends you. I don't know why it would offend you, because what it actually says is that it's possible for people to celebrate and enjoy Christmas without Christ. As a matter of fact, all the fun elements of it, which is what I was talking about earlier in the show, have nothing to do with Christianity. The only Christian parts of it are baby Jesus nativity stuff. And if we took away all the other parts that weren't Christian, Christmas would not be a very popular holiday.
They could celebrate that stuff without having some billboard that just is a direct attack on all the Christians out there.
What's attacking the Christians? It's just a statement that you don't have to include Christ in celebrating this time of year.
But why even have a statement like that?
Because people need to be made aware of this, that they've been lied to, first of all, about the nature of Christmas, but also that the non-Christian community has been misrepresented. You guys don't own the season or December 25th or Christmas or Santa or any of that stuff. It belongs to everybody. And anybody can celebrate anything for whatever reason they want. And the fact that you're offended by it, I mean, I still don't understand what you're offended by, but my comment still stands. So what? You don't have a right to not be offended, and nobody is ruining your Christmas by saying, hey, guess what? We get to enjoy this too.
Well, what's to stop me from just going and putting up my own billboard?
Nothing. Go for it. That's what free speech is all about.
Okay, well, I'm just going to go tomorrow to talk to the Austin City and put up a billboard that says Matt Dillahunty tickles me.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Knock yourself out, dude. We can even tell you how much those billboards cost because we put up a billboard before.
I tell you what, I know that at this point that John was pretty much just a prank call.
Yeah.
But John, if you really had the money and wanted to do it and wanted to put up a billboard here in Austin that said Matt Dillahunty tickles me, I might actually chip in a couple bucks because that'd be freaking awesome. You should be, in much the way that I would thank you for doing that, maybe instead of being offended, you should thank Dave Silverman and American Atheist for putting up a billboard that gets you to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
And by the way, all the, let's put Christ back in Christmas. No, sorry, you lost. Don't need Christ in Christmas. That's the whole point of the billboard.
Save you a decade of your life and just tell you this. There's basically 4 things you have to learn in life.
2020, a brand new decade.
So that after the show, one of the things we're going to do is you get to pick which call we pick.
You know exactly which call I'm picking.
I just want you to tell me.
5.
Line 5.
We're going to do it.
Adam in Minnesota, thanks for waiting. You are on live with Jen and Matt.
Oh, Matt, thanks for having me on. Just by way of introduction, one of your listeners came to one of my favorite corners of the internet, rpgcodex.com, introduced us to you and said if I had a problem with your views, I'd love to give you a ring and talk about it. And I guess not in person, but at least directly to you.
Okay. Do you have a problem with one of my views?
Yeah, I mean, perhaps it's more of an intellectual one rather than disliking per se, but how is your system one of morality rather than just a moral worship of whatever's popular or whatever demagogue happens to be successful? And as a follow-up as well, if you're going to admit that, don't you see that your system is the least possible, least practical, which is why you can claim that secularism has never been tried before?
Well, that's a strange double question because nothing about my view on morality is tied to what any demagogue happens to say. It is an appeal to the fact that we're physical beings in a physical universe, and the laws of the universe that dictate the consequences of our actions are going to be the thing that determine whether or not something is beneficial or harmful to us. This is a process that we continually going around discovering, and the only thing you have to do is for you and I to agree that we would like to live in a better world, and then work through the processes of trying to figure out what that better world looks like and how best to go there.
So it's not about somebody said something. It's the exact opposite of that. Religions tend to be about somebody said something. You know, God proclaims this is moral or whatever, and that doesn't hold any sway for me. Sorry.
My position there is you need to take a step back for a moment, because it's exactly what people said in their material conditions in the current culture. Because when you use terms like being, like well-being, and harm and health and good and bad, as far as I can tell from your views, they're just informed by your personal desires and what you think ought to be happening.
Well, there
is no actual objective morality.
I never said there was an objective moral, so that you can make objective valuations of something by comparing the consequences of actions to a goal. But then you will always get to this point of where somebody says, but why care about that goal? Why care about well-being? But there's no objection to the secular moral system that I'm advocating that doesn't also apply to a religious one, because somebody could just say, why care what a God says, or why care what a book says? I mean, we don't even know what a God says. We just know what people say in their books that God thinks. And I don't know why I should care what a book says or what God says.
But the person who speaks of what God says or speaks of a moral system is distinct from you, because you don't have a moral system. You just have your personal likes and dislikes.
No, I just specifically explained to you how it's not just about my personal dislikes or dislikes, that the physical facts of the universe are what dictate how the consequences of our actions affect us. And so,
but the goal setting itself.
Yes, the goal setting is subjective. Wouldn't you rather live in a better world?
There you go. How do you define
there you go. Is that like the end of the call? Was that your big?
That's the end of the call.
Was that your big gotcha? That ultimately whether or not you care about a better world is subjective, because it is, and so is yours.
You're jumping the line, because now you're saying you keep using the word better without defining it in any meaningful way, any objective way. It's entirely subjective.
Yeah. Well, no. Whether or not something is better or worse is with comparing it to the goal. The only part that's subjective is, do you actually care about that goal? And I would argue that you probably do, right?
Well, it's not just do you care about that goal, it's what is the goal. So you say that it's better in relationship to the goal. So better is being defined by you.
I just stated what the goal is, and all I was asking was whether or not you cared about it.
But you never defined the goal. You just said the goal is better, and better is defined as what brings you closer to the goal. So do you see the circularity?
No, I didn't say the goal was better. What I've advocated for is what we've loosely called well-being. And well-being is broad and covers a great deal of territory, and isn't just a simple thing.
I think that would be helpful.
I'm sorry?
Let's discuss your definition of well-being then. I think that would be very productive, or the best step to take.
So I'm the first to acknowledge, and have for many years, it's like you've never listened to anything I've said on morality, have for many years point out that well-being is not clearly and completely defined, and nobody's asserting that it is. This is a process whereby we are continuing discovering those things which actually work in the interest of our well-being. But there are some simple examples that we can use, and it's all situational. But is it better or worse for my well-being if you chop my head off?
It could be either way.
No, it couldn't, because if you chop my head off,
of who?
If you chop my head off, I'm dead, right?
Yeah, well-being is good.
And there's no. Okay, see, that's not you're not asking the question. You're not addressing the question I asked. I said for me. You got to listen. I'm actually fairly cautious.
So what is? You have a purpose then. You have a goal. Like you as a biological creature have some end or purpose. So that's the only way I can measure what is well for you.
Continuing to live and to live a life that is worth living. That is ultimately.
But you will die. I mean, that's inevitable.
Yes, I will die. It's inevitable. So what? So will you.
So therefore, your purpose is to die in some way or some sense.
No, that's not my purpose. That's like saying that my car's purpose is to rot in a graveyard. What happens to it at the end doesn't define what its purpose is at any given time.
Well, a car, its purpose is to be a servant to the human that created it and to our ends, because it's not a life form in itself. But if my purpose in designing the car was to dump it in a rubbish yard, then I guess, yes, it's to be dumped in the yard.
If it's yours to do.
Talk about what is well for you. I need to know you as a biological thing. What is your end? What is your purpose?
I don't need an end purpose. The purpose is the purpose of life is living it for me.
That's just what you're saying, but then you admit that.
That's what I'm saying. Please tell me what the fuck is wrong with it. I've already acknowledged.
What's wrong with it is this, Matt. I can tell you.
I don't think you can, because I can't be
Well,
wrong.
I can.
I can't be wrong about what I want.
Can't be wrong in the sense of your immediate gut desire, but you can be wrong in terms of your purpose or your end or the direction you move in.
No,
because
you need to
don't know
demonstrate that
about-
there's some other purpose for my life other than the one that I'm giving it, and why I should care, and why I should care about that purpose. Because you can tell me that you have a purpose for my life, and I don't give a shit. You can tell me that a God has a purpose for my life, and I don't give a shit.
You don't have to give a shit. It just has to be there and present.
No.
And I hope to elevate you to the point where you will see that you do have a purpose and there is some meaning to your life. And a
You're
meaning
not
to
going to
your
be
life.
elevating me by asserting that there's a purpose that I don't care about.
Well, but by showing you the purpose, you will care about it because it'll be a moral imperative. Because it will be.
Are you going to show me some new purpose that I haven't already considered?
Absolutely. Now, if we're at the point now where you're admitting that yes, you are actually amoral and you just have your gut desire to live.
Okay,
then very
that's
well.
just an assertion from you. Are you going to show me a purpose that I haven't considered?
Well, absolutely. You
Then
see
do it.
yourself. You have. Okay. Do you have family members that you love that you would kill yourself to save them?
Question.
I can answer that.
I don't think I would kill myself for anyone or anything, but I do have family members that I care about that I would do a great deal for.
So you'd run risk at least. You'd endanger your life
Sure,
to save them.
sure.
Well, there you go. You have desires or things beyond just the mere staying alive until your biological body wears down.
I didn't
You
say.
have a greater
Okay,
purpose.
stop, Adam. First of all, I didn't say it was merely about staying alive. And second of all, I asked you if you could show me some purpose that I haven't already considered. You failed to even begin to do that. I live my life as much for other people because of the benefits that it has on me and how I feel about it as anything.
So you don't live your life simply to stay alive.
No, and I never said I did. I said what I said was to live a life and a life that's worth living. And for me, that includes caring about other people as well.
And how did you define life that's worth living?
I just defined it myself.
Himself, and
It's just whatever you want.
This is what it means to be an autonomous, free person. You get to define
Oh, no
what.
man is an island.
Are you just going to keep tossing around aphorisms that repeat what the fuck I just said?
You just said a free man can live the way that he wants, but you're still a man within a universe that's greater
Yes.
than yourself. And you
The universe isn't greater than me in any sense other than it's bigger than me.
Well, it controls much of your life, how you get your food, how you get your shelter.
The universe
how
is
you-
the
your
universe.
family that raised
The universe isn't an agent that is thinking and controlling things. What you're describing is that I still have to work, I believe, as I said at the beginning of this call, as a physical being in a physical universe where the laws of the universe dictate the consequences of my action and their effect on me. Didn't I say that? So why are you just respinning what I said as if it somehow counters what I said?
Fundamentally, I'm trying to get at your purpose of life, and all I'm getting is, and your moral system, but essentially all I'm getting is, you live for the purpose of whatever you happen to currently want, and there is no relevance to anyone else. So
It's not about what I currently want, but you seem to think that there would be something wrong with what I currently want, and you haven't identified what's wrong with what I currently want. What's wrong with wanting to live a life that I value, and that includes contributing and working with others towards a better world?
And there's nothing wrong in terms of that desire. It's how you express it.
Thank you. Bye.
I just wanted to get that one out of the way because that was directed right at you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's start the vibe off right, ladies and gentlemen. We're
Let's
gonna
do
go
one that's
there.
not directed at me, or actually one that's just not going to repeat what I said and pretend like it's rebutted me in any way.
Well, we can try.
The thing is that there is no counter.
No.
There's no solution. When religious people try to say, oh, well, that's just what you think. Dude, put on Big Lebowski. That's just like your opinion, man.
That's what I was thinking.
I know
during call.
that you've got a purpose that's bigger than you. Okay, well, that's just like your opinion. Yeah,
But
it
that's
comes from
the
God.
purpose of what the individual sets for themselves. For me, yes, I do have a bigger purpose in this life. It's my kid. That's my bigger purpose.
And by the
that
way,
doesn't mean that he has to make my child a bigger purpose
Right.
than him.
By the way, there's one thing that I said that's going to be taken wrong and probably taken out of context, which is that what I want can't be wrong. That's actually not true.
Right.
The point that I was making there, it's not, because you can want things that are bad for you. I can be wrong about what I want and wrong about what's in my best interest.
Right.
People vote against their best interests on a regular basis.
And that's why we
On
can
a
choose to do.
regular fucking basis. The thing is, what I'm saying is, when I want to live a life and a better life, and if my goal, as is the goal of secular moral systems, is to get better at getting better, to learn more about how the world works so that we make better decisions about what's in our best interest, I don't see how that could be wrong. And if you tell me that a God wants something different for me, I don't care. Why is he sending you as a messenger? God can come down and tell me himself.
And then it begs the question, if he's set out to give you a better purpose for life, in whose well-being and interest is that? Is it in yours? Maybe you don't want this. It's in his.
Yeah.
So it, again, removes the autonomy from you for your life.
Yeah.
For him to
There's no
feel like
demonstration that even a God wanting something for people means it's better for them.
Right. It's just what somebody else wants me to do. And
But when you start talking about redemption, as he mentioned, but we didn't quite get to it,
yeah.
and other things like that, all you're doing is preaching what your personal opinion is and deflecting the fact that it's just your personal opinion by claiming that it's coming from a
It's
God.
coming from a God, or this is how I interpreted text from God.
But Matt, you've made yourself a God. I didn't make myself a God. It just happened. Oh, that ain't happening.
Oh.
Who's next?
Nick. Let's have a nicer tone right now.
Hey, Nick, how are you? You're on with Jen and Matt.
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. Thank you for calling, Nick.
Awesome.
Yeah, of course. Actually, I think my question is going to dovetail really well off of two callers ago, because it definitely deals in the areas of morality and purpose, but from a completely different perspective. My question for you, for either of you, is, you see, I'm a recently out atheist.
Okay.
And my family, very fundamentalist Christian, both my wife's family and my family, I've yet to tell them. And I'm really struggling with that one because I love them a lot.
Where's your wife in this?
Yeah.
Her and I align pretty closely. I would say I'm a little bit further on the atheist spectrum than she is, but we both, she's a pastor's kid. My father-in-law is still a minister, and both of our families are still heavily involved in the church.
What kind of ministry?
Yeah, what? Just so we get a scope of what we're doing.
He's basically non-denominational, maybe, evangelical Christian type.
Just your basic run-of-the-mill evangelical Christian.
Right.
So there's tons. I mean, there's no way to predict this, and you're going to know both your family and your in-laws far better than we will.
Right.
What do you suspect is likely to happen, and what were you thinking as far as how you were going to come out?
Yeah, that's a good. Do you have a plan in place yet on how you're wanting to kind of come out to this? Another question: how close are you to your families? Is another good question.
Yeah, those are both wonderful questions. So here's the issue that I'm running up against. So my father-in-law and I are like best friends. We're buddies. We do everything together. We love working in the shop together. We love hanging out and smoking cigars and drinking whiskey together. I mean, it's just like we're total buddies. And
your father-in-law the minister?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're probably going to be fine.
Don't tell anyone. But I'm afraid it's going to damage our relationship. That's the problem that I'm having.
Damage the relationship to what extent? Is it, I'm disappointed and I understand, but these are your beliefs, or we're no longer speaking to you? I don't know if you have children, but I'm going to say like you and your children.
I do not have children, no, but I am afraid that it's going to damage our friendship because he's still so fundamentalist Christian, and of course I think that's a load of horseshit.
Okay, that's not the way I'd phrase it for the first conversation.
That would not be good.
But I'm with you.
That would not be good.
Absolutely not. I'm sorry.
And I make that point because I make that point because I know you know that, and this is the right thing. So you've got a relationship with your father-in-law that is currently good. What were you what was your plan?
Yes.
Because if it
Well,
was,
that's
hey, I want to.
my plan is, so here's my plan. My plan is to call somebody who has a lot more experience in this and get some wisdom and advice on how to go about the situation.
Wow, who's that?
Yeah, it's not me. I came out like a bull in a china shop
So
for
look,
my family.
I've addressed this a bunch of times. Big thing is, don't make a big thing of it.
Yeah.
Don't do the, hey, can we sit down and talk? I've got something important to say. The better course of action is to just keep being you, the person that he knows and cares about, and gradually be more honest when those types of conversations come up. Because I think you may find, if you're hanging out with him this much and you guys have interactions and conversations, unless you are like a really good liar and have been actively doing it, there's probably suspicions there, especially from somebody in a ministerial capacity, about where you are on the God, path. And if you're just gradually more honest, and you don't have to toss out the A word, and you don't have to, go down the path that it's horseshit, and say, hey, I don't think I believe this. I don't think I believe this anymore. I've got my doubts and other stuff. And you can even, and probably sincerely, say, I'm not sure how comfortable I am talking about it because I worry that it's going to impact our relationship. And for now, I'd just like, some patience, and maybe you can pray for me. And then as I have questions and stuff, we can have conversations like that. All of which would be honest, I would expect. And letting them know that you still care about them and you still care about that relationship.
Right.
And be compassionate there's going to be some pushback. Well, how come you don't believe this? And, everything, your parents taught you and we taught, expect some pushback, but come at that with compassion.
Yeah, right off the bat, it's going to be, for anybody in a minister capacity, especially somebody who's been hanging out with you and drinking whiskey and smoking cigars and stuff, it's going to be, I care about him. I'm concerned about him. I'll pray. He's going to be familiar, if he's any kind of minister at all, with people who are having crisis of faith and doubts, because this happens to everybody. And if he's doing his job as a minister, he's run across a whole bunch of people like that. You can, you can very clearly do the, I don't think I believe that stuff anymore, or I'm pretty sure, or I don't believe that stuff anymore. I don't necessarily know what label I might be comfortable with or how to talk about it. But doing the, hey, let's sit down and have a talk is probably the wrong way to go about it.
If the family was more distant, then sure, I would say, let's do it that way.
That?
If the family was more distant, I'd be like, yeah, you can kind of come out like I did. And I was like, by the way, but because you guys are so close, the best thing, and if he's coming at you with questions that are like, well, why this and why that and why this, and more out of like a disappointment, you can, and if you're not comfortable with it, you can just say, that's still something I'm looking into, and I do want to have this conversation with you, but I want to make sure that we can have the right conversation about this.
And part of me, so here's kind of the second half of that. By the way, thank you. That's all. I really appreciate kind of the words of wisdom on that. So the second half of that, and I mean that I'm speaking more to my side of the family, my parents. I know it would cause them great suffering to know where I stand. I mean, as their little angel boy who served in every single ministry you can possibly imagine, and went on a overseas mission trip to Uganda and Rwanda when I was 11 years old without my family. I mean, that's how they see me still.
There may be some freakouts.
That's not who I am.
There may or may not be some freakouts, but one thing is that they know you, they care about you, and you've definitely got the cred. It's not like you've been some problem. I mean, you did mission trips and stuff. It's going to be very difficult for them to reconcile all that. And you've got to decide whether it's more important for you to be honest about who you are and have people, accept you and appreciate you for who you are, or if you're going to pretend. And I've told people before that if you think that, coming out is going to jeopardize your health, your life,
your financial
relationships,
standing,
all that stuff, to a degree that's not comfortable, then don't do it. But
that's a question you have to ask yourself is am I okay with them not knowing? Am I okay with kind of putting the mask on and bowing my head and pretending to pray at meals and nodding my head when they're talking about, hey, you believe in this too, right? If you're okay, if the fear of your parents being disappointed,
that's the only thing about that oil paint, like.
Okay with it? No, why? Don't make the waves if you guys have a really good relationship. However, if it's eating up at you, and you're like, no, I need to be honest with my parents.
So what I was about to do is, I want to add some white lines. They're not going to be that thin. It will be at least as wide as a normal little size brush stroke. So they will whiten out a little bit. But I don't know. I just want some solid, bright white lines to contrast the dark blue streaks on the back, and then to break through the rectangle as well. So I laid my straight edge across the canvas, and some areas of these streaks here are still very wet. And that's that shit about that oil paint, yo. Like, you use acrylic paints and acrylics dry up on you, they're done. They're dry. If you let your oil paints dry, they get a little skin on it. Man, you peel the scab off that motherfucker, that shit'll start bleeding again. You know what I'm saying? That shit bleeding all over again. That shit wet underneath there. You can't do that shit with acrylics. But that goes to say too, when I fucking load up heavy paint on the canvas like this, it may be dry to the touch, but underneath that shit is still fucking wet, yo. And it'll be wet for years to come. I mean, it can still be handled and moved when it gets really hard, but like if that paint is really, really thick, it takes a long ass time for the paint to cure all the way through. And these are some deep strokes, and like I said, I laid my ruler on it and I was still pulling paint, so there's even some areas of it that are still pretty wet, so I'm not gonna fuck with that right now. I think I might just so this is 1, 2, I think I got 3 layers of paint on here. I'm gonna try to get these paints back to life and just go ahead and work on the I don't know, is it 2 layers, or this is either going to be the 3rd or 4th layer of paint. Basically want to set in some more of the highlights, detail the hair and the shadows from the hair a little bit more, add some highlights to the skin tones so that you can see the workings of the veins, and detail the nipples. There's not a lot to go on with this, yo. And I can have this one done in a few days. Hopefully this paint is dry enough so I can put those lines on there. But we'll see how it goes. And then after I finish this one, I start putting the underpainting on that canvas, and then work on these 2 pieces right here. I need to texture the background on this one. I just brushed it, but I think I need to pull out my knife on that one and put a little texture to it. I'm not feeling well at all, yo. I couldn't hardly fucking sleep. Stuffy, fucking nose is running. Oh my god. I really was feeling bad yesterday too. I still went to work anyway though. But I called I texted my boss this morning. I was like, I already told her like, yo, I'm not feeling well. And I only work a half a day on Fridays. Like I don't have to be there till like 2 o'clock, but I just told her like, man, I'm not feeling well at all. And there's a chance that I might not be in today. I ain't gonna lie, I almost didn't even come up here to the studio. I was gonna make me a cup of tea and like sit down and read or some shit. I don't know. But y'all done went through a half a roll of fucking tissue. Just blowing my fucking nose, yo. This shit is fucking stupid. You know how it get. Everybody know how that shit be. I'm right at that point where it's like, it's not like it's not like the flu or whatever, but yo, I can't fucking breathe. Jeez, my fucking head is all fucking stuffy and throbbing. Can't stop blowing my nose. And then I had a little cough yesterday. I haven't coughed really this morning at all. But yesterday I was fucking coughing, hacking up this fucking yellow phlegm and shit. Like, God damn it. It's ridiculous. Hate feeling like this. But then there was one guy in the office, he took off last week because he wasn't feeling good. And then the other lady, she's not feeling well. And then, like, I work in the office, yo. People are in there coughing and sneezing, and everybody, you know, coming in and out of the pods or whatever. You got to grab the doorknobs, and, man, there's just germs. You know what I'm saying? Then I go to the gym. I be thinking, too, like, at the gym now, like, I be trying to wipe off the equipment before I use it. I know their policy is you use the equipment, and they got, like, a little sanitizer or whatever. You get some paper towel and sanitizer, and you wipe the equipment off after you're done with it. But I'm start doing that shit beforehand, because I think motherfuckers don't be wiping that shit off all the time. That shit be nasty as hell, yo, just going to the gym. And I feel off. And today was my gym day, like, because I don't have to go to work till in the afternoons. I was like, yo, fuck the gym, yo, like, I don't feel good, yo. Feel good enough to paint though. I'm gonna have to be fucking like incapacitated, in a coma, had one foot in the grave, not to feel good enough to paint. But you painting though? Yeah, I am. That shit helped me feel better. Fuck. You gotta keep sniffing to get that extra breath. Cause I'm barely breathing. It's like trying to take a deep breath every once in a while. Alright, so I am gonna need Alright, I'll probably add a couple of colors to here. Let's see. What up? Good morning, everybody. Hey, yo, no lie, yo. I was like, I don't watch a lot of TV, yo. If I turn on the TV, it's normally YouTube. I ain't gonna lie. Some goddamn. I watch gamers, yo. I watch game streams. And so I'm playing a game yesterday. And in the chat room, my man, like, I'm coughing. This other dude coughing. He's like, yo, I don't feel good. I'm like, damn, nigga, you sound just like me, yo. And then the other dude in the chat with his girlfriend sick. And these motherfuckers all, who knows where the hell they at? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, everybody fucking sick. I got another chat. This other motherfucker in there. He in there coughing and sneezing. I'm like, damn, is this so weird? And then after I stopped playing the game, I was watching some other people stream. Whoever the top streamers, there was some dude playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint. And that's like one of those like fan-based games. Like that shit don't really be a top streamer. But his Ghost Recon was at the third or fourth stream, so I watched that shit for a minute. And then I watched somebody else play Apex Legends. This motherfucker they talking about he's sick. I'm like, God damn, everybody. But that was like just on the game, like fucking 6 or 7 different people talking about they don't feel good, they sick, they throat hurt. And like all this in the same fucking boat. Yo, it is the cold and flu season for real. And them little germs is floating around heavy. Them motherfuckers is out and about. Man, y'all better wash your hands, have some hand sanitizer. Don't touch your face if you ain't got to. Cause goddamn, I feel like shit, man. I've been sipping on NyQuil like that shit goddamn tequila. Mm. It's hot out here for a pimp. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Mm. I'm trying to sleep last night. That shit was a fucking joke. Sleep just laughing at me like, hi, nigga. You'll never catch me. You'll never catch me. You know why? Because you got to run to catch me. And you got to breathe to run. And you can't breathe. And so sleep eluded me all night. Like a fucking bastard thief in the night. Mocking me from afar. Because I never put all my fucking colors where I need them. Now I gotta look for something else. Man, y'all know I still don't know all the names of my colors, yo. I be looking for one color just thinking of the color itself. Like, the name never even comes to me. It's like, I'll just know that shit when I see it. Like that one color I'm looking for right now, which is, I don't fucking know, but I sure as hell don't see that bitch because I'm always moving shit where it shouldn't be. Motherfucker. It's a Naples yellow from a different maker though. It's a, I think it's a Grummenbacher. Grummenbacher? How the fuck is that shit? Where the fuck is that color at? It's not what I'm looking for, but might keep that over here. Where is yeah, this is the fucking worst right now. What? I just use this. I just use that. And this. You know why? Because it's almost the same. It's almost the same. I'm not gonna be that picky. It's just a fucking painting of me anyway. Who the fuck cares? It's just a painting of me. Painting myself for myself to look at myself. And cares if it has that one color in it or not? Nobody really. Nobody gives a fuck about that shit. Just paint that shit, bitch. Just use whatever. Use whatever colors you have. Oh, I don't feel so good, guys. Oh my god, yo. I do not feel well at all. Oh, my head feels 2 times too big. Gotta get that ginger ale in you, man. That ginger, that garlic, some some turmeric, and some honey, some citrus zest, some orange peels, or some lemon peels, or some green tea, or some chai tea. I'm gonna be on that shit today, yo. Be on that shit today. I cannot fucking breathe, dude. Just the fucking worst. That apple cider vinegar with that mother. Who makes that? I got that shit in the fucking cabinet too, yo. Matter of fact, a shot of that shit is like, swear to God, yo, that shit like taking a shot of brandy. But that shit's so goddamn hot, boy. God damn. Yeah, the apple cider vinegar with mother. That shit is probiotic for your gut. Help kill the goddamn bad bacteria and nourish the good bacteria. Everything happen in your stomach. That's why motherfuckers tell you to eat and drink certain shit, man. If your stomach ain't right, that's your diet. Eat to live. Your food should be your medicine. I've just been slacking on my diet lately. Not having enough leafy green vegetables and deep purple and red fruits. Need shit like beets and plums. Now you can dry them out and make prunes. And grapes and raisins and strawberries. Shit like that. Pomegranate. I try to stay, I like apples and bananas. I eat a hell of a lot of fucking oranges, tangerines, tangelos, halos, all that shit, man. That vitamin C, yo. Milk anymore. If I drink milk, it's like almond milk. Some people say that shit bad for you too, but fuck. What are you gonna do? Man, my nose is fucking raw. That shit hurts so bad. Feels like somebody's fisting my nose. My shit's starting to turn red all around here. Fuck. And my eyes look like this. Shit got that mother in there. That's that shit at the bottom, yo. See that shit at the bottom? You can't use it like this. You gotta shake it up and get that shit into the fucking liquid, yo. You gotta have that shit swirling around in there. I said, a shot of this, bruh. This shit hot, strong, like some 100-year brandy. Ooh, smell that shit just taking the lid off that bitch, boy. You don't play around with this shit, yo. You got athlete's foot, nigga. Soak your feet in some of this shit. When I did that shit back in the day, but that shit killed everything. I was like, God damn. Woo! Boy. Yeah, I feel my fucking pores opening up. That's that real shit right there. Raw, unfiltered, unpasteurized, naturally gluten-free. Health crusade since 1912. And they do have a drink. Like, it's like a juice. It's not like this, but like a drink that you can drink, but it has that mother and all other kind of shit in it. And really, you should take it like a couple shots of this shit a week, just as a preventative action. And you see, it's not full, so I do be using this shit, man. This shit ain't full, but I don't know, man. I've been doing good lately. I ain't been keeping up with my shit, yo. Now, I'm fucking sick. Touching people's germs and shit. Now I gotta double up all my fucking ginger. My ginger and garlic. My apple cider vinegar. I gotta double up on shit so I can get better. Yeah. Like I said, you need that shit like a couple times a week, well. I know one dude, he said he just drank like a old head. He was like, man, some strong ass brandy. I take, a couple shots of brandy a week, and he like a religious dude. Motherfucker don't drink or smoke or none of that shit, but he keep that brandy. He said that shit just help his blood circulate, you know what I'm saying? It's like that shit just good for you, whatever in that shit. But the apple cider vinegar, that shit strong like brandy, boy. That shit just, if you take a shot of that bitch, if you ever take a shot, you know what I'm talking about. That shit ain't for the weak. But it's good for you though. That's the only thing that shit good for you. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers been using shit like this for thousands of years. Natural remedies. All these pills and medications and vaccinations, all this shit new as fuck, yo. Motherfuckers been here for a long ass time, man, and just figured out like what herbs do what. That's that fucking crazy amazing shit. Motherfuckers just know like from trial and error of thousands of years what's good for the human body. Now the Westerners want to take that shit and put it in pill form. Here, pop this. You can't sleep? Pop this. Where it used to be you can't sleep. Here, take some of these herbs and take one of these plants and take a little bit of lavender and chamomile, grind that shit up, put some hot water on it, drink that shit. You'll go to sleep. Throat kind of hurt. Got so throat, guys. I ain't gonna be doing too much singing and freestyling today. Psych, I'm lying. Cause I'm feeling sick. Ooh, might call off from work. Ooh, stay home, play some games. Ooh, no, I'm not a jerk. Ooh, cause I'm feeling sick. Ooh, might call off from work. Ooh, stay home, play some games. And work up. Yo, Blunt. I'm feeling kinda sick. Ooh, might call off from work. Ooh, stay home, play some games. Ooh, cause I can make it work. Ooh, I'm feeling kinda sick. Sipping on that apple. Ooh. Oh. Sparking up them herbs. Ooh, might call off from work. Ooh, stay home, play some games. Damn. The call-in song. But I was thinking too, bro, we need to do like a fucking Instagram, like an Instagram live, yo. I keep trying to figure out another way, like how can viewers see us both at the same time and be a part of the conversation. But if you could have your stream running, your YouTube channel, and I have my YouTube channel running, and then we on a dual stream on the Instagram shit and see how that shit can get popping. And just come up with a topic or some shit. And, you know, have a conversation about some shit, or just let the conversation flow like it normally does. Keep trying to figure out a way for us to get a fucking podcast going together, yo. Blunt Mover and the Prince. I'm feeling kinda sick. Ooh, might call off from work. Ooh, stay home, play some games. Ooh, and blow up on this herb. Ooh, I'm feeling kinda sick. Ooh, might call off from work. Ooh, stay home, play some games. Ooh, and blow up on this herb. Ooh. Cause my nose really hurts. Ooh, I blow that shit all day. I'm like a walking snot factory right now. Like, that's all. If I can't do shit else all day, I'm gonna make some fucking snot, yo. Where does this shit come from? What? Where does it keep coming from? The mucus. Fuck. Where is this? It's all in my fucking head, like. I wish I could just wring my fucking head out like a rag and just squeeze all the mucus out that shit, yo. The stream, yeah. It's just an idea. I'm just trying to figure out some ideas, yo. You check out the episodes of my show, yo. I already got like 4 people. At least three, and the possible people lined up for the next set of interviews. But I got to wait for the new studio. Let's see. Mary's done a great job on post-production. Since these 2 shows are done, I'm not thinking about the technical stuff, audio, lighting, etc., etc. I can finally focus on content, and I like watching your shows. I think you're going to develop a large audience for the station. Travis, if you line up new artists, I will get the live 3-camera switcher going by January the 13th. So anytime after that, we can squeeze in an interview at the Marbury Street Basement Studio, as long as I'm not filming city council or county commissioners meetings. So after the 13th, it's back to work, baby. That's next week, so goddamn. Oh no, the day already the 10th. So shit, by next week I can already be back in the studio recording motherfucking the next set of interviews. And then like where I moved to now, like somebody told me, well they didn't, they asked me if I knew an artist from over here, and I remembered it. I'm bad with names, but I remember it was like the dude had like a pretty unique name. And then somebody hit me up on Facebook. They was like, "Oh, you live over there? Do you know this guy?" And then they sent me his link. I was like, "Nope," but that's that motherfucker somebody had told me about. So I contacted him. I said, "Nigga, you famous. Motherfuckers talking about you, bro." You know what I'm saying? So goddamn, you need to come on and be on my damn show and let me interview you and show your art. He was like, "Oh hell yeah." And then my homegirl with the Black Scranton Project, she's the founder of the Black Scranton Project, she had some dude hit me up on LinkedIn. He was like, "Yo, I just moved to the area. I'm an artist. I'm trying to find different ways to get exposure for my art. I just met Glennis, and she said that I should contact you." I'm like, "You in the right spot, homie, because you about to be on motherfucking TV. You just fell right into the right fucking hands, nigga." You trying to get exposure? I got you. And then there's another artist I asked, and they was like, yeah. And then one more dude, like, he ain't never respond yet. Yeah. Well, but next day I got the fucking I already got the go ahead. Already lined up the fucking Jones. So after the 13th, I'm gonna get back with the studio crew and be like, "Yo, is we really ready? Cause I got motherfuckers say they ready." And if they say yeah, then I contact the artist and be like, "Yo, when you ready? I'm ready whenever you ready. What date? What you want to do it? Wednesday at 4? Friday at noon? What's up?" I'll go to the studio sick like this, yo. We gonna record some shit. Hi, I'm your host, Travis Prince, and welcome to Easy. Oh, well, I gotta look at my ugly mug. This shit look like a straight mug shot. Motherfucker look guilty. God damn. Ooh. I don't know, man. I really haven't been a fan of fucking coffee, yo, but I started drinking that shit lately, cause oh, that's fucking. I forgot how to place it. But man, these winters up here, yo, the last couple of winters we had, man, this shit's been brutal. I see why motherfuckers be drinking coffee. Well, not when it's. I know motherfuckers drink coffee in the middle of a day in the summertime. Like that's a bit extreme. Ain't it too hot for coffee? But on these mornings like on mornings like this, I see why motherfuckers be trying to get that cup of coffee, bro. Cause you ain't wanna do shit. Man, that coffee be hot. Whatever flavors be all extra sweet and shit. Then that shit be having that caffeine in that shit too. But on mornings like this, man, motherfuckers need something, though. At least some hot chocolate. Goddamn. Gotta get a cup of cocoa with some marshmallows or something. Cause this gets to be ridiculous, man. That should be depressing. It's 12 degrees out. 12 degrees. How do animals survive this? That's what I like to know. Birds and the bees. How do y'all survive 12 degrees outside all the winter long? Jesus. Humans ain't built for that shit no more. That's why we evolved on the savannah, where there was 2 seasons, the wet season and the dry season, but both of them was hot. Huh? Cause our food need to grow all year long. We ain't got time for this fucking snow and shit, man. Who does this? And now, motherfuckers be looking for that hot drink in the morning. The coffee than the whiskey. I'm telling you, motherfuckers be looking for that hot cup in the morning. Like, fuck this cold shit, nigga. Shit. Needs that. Just looking at that shit get me upset. Just looking out the window like, motherfucking coldness. Fuck that snow. Look at that person walking. I feel bad for you, homie. I really do. And she trying to take a shortcut through the snow. Soggy ass feet. Dirty ass shoes. Fuck that, yo. Let's go skiing, bro. Like, no, I'm not going skiing with you. Ain't gonna go play in this shit. I got cold already. Fucking around these crazy ass goddamn temperatures out here. 32 degrees, 12 degrees, 40 degrees. Tomorrow they talking it gonna be 57 degrees. Bitch, it's 20 degrees today. How it gonna be 57 degrees tomorrow? Damn near 60 degrees. And then drop back down to 9 degrees on Sunday. This is ridiculous. My body can't adapt fast enough to this shit, man. And like I noticed, like the more I stay up here, yo, the worse this shit get. I gotta get back to the south where there's less of this shit and more of sunshine. Cause black people thrive in the sun. We thrive in that shit, man. That shit is made. The sun is made for us. Well, we made to live in the sun. The sun ain't made for us. The sun ain't made for nobody. But we are made to live in the sun. I need that shit. Now I'm thinking about calling off work, losing money. I'm not gonna lose money. Because I can do 2 things. I can use a personal day, or I can use some paid time off. That's the difference. If I use paid time off, I can just use the hours of the time that I should have worked today. If I use a personal day, it's gonna be a whole day. And I really wasn't gonna work a whole day anyway. Alright, enough about me and my problems. What's going on with you guys? Anything specific y'all want to talk about this morning? I know a lot of shit going on in the world, man. This war shit, We still gotta impeach Trump. Like, you know, Flint, Michigan still ain't got clean water. Goddamn. Um, Canada talking about they doing their own investigations and they look like they plane got shot down and shit. All kind of shit going on, man. And then the girl who the cop killed, yo, I was reading up on her story, yo. The girl down in Texas, man, the cop shot her through the window. Because somebody called for a courtesy call because her door was open for so many hours and the neighbors was kind of worried that, you know, something could have happened. And so the cop came out to do a courtesy check and he saw the lady in the house through the window and didn't give her any direct commands and didn't identify himself as an officer of law, and he shot her through the window and killed her. And then the goddamn little while later, her daddy ended up dead. And then a little while later now, her mama ended up dead. They like, whoa, 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 whoa. Y'all done knocked this whole family off on some crazy shit, yo. But I don't know. Then I got beef. I got Facebook beef right now. Y'all know I don't normally be beefing, yo. And that's why. I'm coming, guys. Yeah, this Facebook beef is getting serious with close friends. Ooh, so I made a post on Facebook, yo. And here we go. My post says, if you post stuff about how much you love God and Jesus is your savior, please remove yourself from my friends list. Y'all need to face reality in 2020. So this year I got like 50 fucking likes and so many comments. Yo, Tiffany said, yes, Brother Travis, I like this post. I think I might have to repost this because the Christian prayers that come down my timeline are getting ridiculous and annoying. Time to clear the air. Yahshua, Dios, Emmanuel, aka Jesus, not even like these false profession Christians. It's all Bible prophecies and scoffers. Be open-minded. Not a Bible thumper here, but why does it bother you? If you're allowed to be an atheist and post whatever you want, why can't they? Are they coming into your page and trying to make you accept Jesus as your savior forever and ever? Yeah, my posts don't direct people to do shit. I just post shit. You look at it or you not, but those shits would be like, oh, look at this tragedy. Don't scroll before typing amen. If you believe in God, then you'll get, they'll show you a wad of cash or something. Type amen and this money will be yours. Like, who the what? That's the shit that gets me. Like, I don't care if you post like a video from your church sermon or some shit, like, but just like those little posts that tell you to do shit because God. And it's like, especially when people say, oh, God came through for me and this and that. And it's like, no, you worked hard. You set your mind towards something. You got motivated, and you accomplished a goal, and you achieved the goal that you set out to accomplish. And it's like you tell your make believe friend, thank you God for. It's like you did all that. What are you doing? That was you. It's like the Santa Claus thing. Like you do all of this shit, and then you give thanks to Santa Claus for like, hey, Santa Claus. Like, no, I just did all of that. I went to work. First, I learned a trade. I applied for a job. They hired me because of my skills. I went to work. I earned a paycheck. I took my earnings and I brought you toys. And here are your toys. I'm not gonna like say, oh, fucking Santa Claus did that shit. It's just like I work hard, and it's like it's weird, yo. They are a tough crowd, bro. It's like. Wow. My bad, guys. Alright. I just typed slow as fuck. I barely said anything. I just typed super slow on this shit. Not a Bible thumper here, but why does it bother you? If you're allowed to be an atheist and post whatever you want, why can't they? Or are they coming into your page and trying to make you accept Jesus as your savior forever and ever? My response is, it's the silly shit like showing a wad of money and saying type amen and it'll be yours, or saying God came through for me, when in actuality you just put in hard work. The world doesn't work like that, and it seems ignorant to believe things like this actually happen in real life. Like, don't be like, on social media I mostly deal with intellectuals and artists, and like, if you still think, I don't care if you're spiritual or believe in some type of higher being or higher purpose, that's cool, but do you really believe that shit like this interferes directly with your fucking day-to-day life in this physical three-dimensional world? That shit is fucking ridiculous, yo. Like, prayers and miracles and all that shit, like, it doesn't work like that. A big ass wad of cash, type amen and it'll be yours. Oh, this sad such and such happened, don't scroll down without typing amen. This shit don't work. It don't work like that. Like, why do I have to see this shit? It just seems like you're so not in reality right now. You're so not in reality. What I want to go to is, you ask a wounded soldier who lost a fucking limb to pray to God for his leg to grow back, and see where that gets you. And then once a motherfucker who has been amputated from the knee down, he ain't got no calf, no foot, no nothing, this motherfucker pray and his leg grows back, that's a miracle. I believe in miracles then. Will I believe in God? Maybe not. Now you gotta prove that God made the miracle happen. But if you want some shit like that, that's like, that shit don't happen in real life. Oh, my niece had leukemia and we prayed and it went away. And then there's 1,000 other people who had leukemia and prayed and they died from leukemia. Like, what? This shit don't make no fucking sense, yo. So I don't like seeing that shit in my fucking timeline. Let's be logical about shit nowadays. It's a whole new decade. Let's get this shit started on the right foot, yo. Alright, so somebody, like I said, man, this shit was going on since yesterday, yo. So, I explained how I felt just now. Like, it's that silly dumbass shit. Like, why do people even post that? This is not how the real world works. And so she came back and said, agreed. I've come to believe people just need these things to get by, to give them purpose and focus. I don't agree or support it, but whatever. As long as they're not trying to push the crazy on me, laughy, crying face. And Travis, thank you for explaining. And I just said facts. You know what I'm saying? That shit is not... I'm not trying to demean anybody. Like I said, if you have some kind of spiritual connection with whatever, I've been there. I've done all that shit, and it's to a certain extent where I still do. I think that at most we can say is that the universe itself, or what we understand as the cosmos, can be considered a singular thing. Now, if you want to call that thing God, like everything that we know of, if you want that to be God, I can go with that. But if God is like some dude in a realm called heaven, sitting on a throne, manipulating his minions and his armies and all this, no. And Jesus, Savior, sacrifice, no. Allah, Buddha, Krishna, Odin, Ra, no. Isis, Osiris, no, and no. Now, if you want to talk about the cosmos and the golden ratio and pi are fucking different phenomenon like light, gravity, electricity, magnetism. If you want to roll all that into a ball and say that's God, I'm on it. You know what I'm saying? Everything that we are aware of and can perceive. Now, is this thing, does it have a consciousness? Is it specifically creating perfect conditions for human beings to live on one planet in the fucking corner of a meaningless galaxy in some weird looking little fucking star system somewhere? Like, is all of this shit just made just for us? Is like, we're really an anomaly here, you know. But, and I done been through all the shifts and all the phases and all the spectrums and all the ins and all the outs, and when you get all back around all the way to the end, is you don't fucking know. Nobody. It's all speculation. And the worst thing about religion is these people claim to know the mind of God. They know what God wants, what he thinks, how he feels. Because God was created in the image of a man who wanted to be dominant in his family and in his lands at the time when those writings were written. You know, they wanted their God to say that everything they were doing was good. And now, start of a new decade, man. Let's get this shit out the way, yo, because I haven't been like quiet on my beliefs for a long time. Total malarkey. It doesn't work that way. Now, MB, yo, what's up? Now, if you want to talk about The Secret and the power of persuasion and all that shit like that, that's cool too, but that's like saying having a good attitude will get you what you want. And that can work in a lot of cases and not work in a lot of cases. waiting to see how many more people I gotta fucking. Fucking people up with this post, yo. Yo, I already got one person to share that shit, yo. It's about to be rough. Boom. I just like to get people to admit that shit, yo. So my homegirl, I went to elementary with her. I've known her forever. And she's like, oh, but why you gotta take us off your friends list and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, I just be tired of that shit. So I sent her a link, right? It's something I think she should listen to. She's like, oh, no, not doing that. I'm like, really? You don't even listen to the link? Like, and I said, LOL. That's why it's hard to have a real conversation on this stuff. Very few people have actually read the Bible cover to cover, word for word. And her first response is, I cannot honestly tell you that I have read the Bible cover to cover, nor that I believe everything it says. Then why believe any of it? You've never read the Bible, though. You've never read the whole thing cover to cover. And then the stuff that you have heard about, that someone has preached to you or read to you, are the little pieces that you have read for yourself. You don't believe all of that. But you believe in God and Jesus. And then she says she's seen, the works of God many times throughout her life. It's weird, yo. I just think this shit is weird. I don't know, I have the best job right now I've ever had. Ever. I'm not even qualified to do some of this shit I be doing, yo. Honestly. I'm qualified now because I got on-the-job experience. You see, that's how that shit works. But somebody got to give you a chance to get the on-the-job experience so you can skip over the qualification part. It's weird how that shit work like that, bro. But I'm in the best spot ever. I feel the need to thank a God for that shit. That shit just happened that way. It just worked out like that. And then people see that shit like, oh, because God helped me get this job. And no. You put yourself in a position to allow a certain opportunity to be presented to you. I don't read the Bible. I just highlight it. Go to Matthew chapter 7, verse 9 through 11, and then I highlight that shit. What does it say? Got the yellow highlighter, the pink highlighter, the blue highlighter. Never read the whole book. I have personally, I've almost read the whole Bible. Almost. Shit boring as fuck in some parts, yo. This is boring. And it's so redundant, like, that shit repeats itself a lot. And it's a tough read. You fall asleep reading that shit. But I read a lot more of the Bible than most people, and that's what I look at, like, cause me and my homie, we sat down for like one summer. We sat down for like 2 months. It was basically the whole summer, and like we read the fucking Bible, yo. And the parts that I didn't read, he read, and the parts that he didn't read, I read. And we had our Bible dictionaries called a concordance. And we had 2 different kind of Bibles and a concordance, and we just read that shit, yo. Because we was on a quest for knowledge, just trying to... Yo, my breathing is fucked up. Pink's the best. But yeah, we really just wanted to try to understand that shit, yo. And the more you read the Bible, the less you believe that shit. And for the ones who do believe it after they've read the whole thing, you're damn near crazy. Me and my homie's name in the Bible. I don't see how. I used to wish I had a biblical name. I wish my name was like Emmanuel or Ezekiel or Hezekiah or some shit like that. You know what? Even names like Jacob and David. They're old ass fucking names, yo. Sarah. Joshua. Them old ass biblical names. Name been around for 2,000 years. Isaac. You ever met a motherfucker named Esau? What if that shit was my name? Like, yo, what's up, yo? Esau.
At Farmers Insurance, we almost everything, so we know how to cover almost anything, even a gold medal grizzly.
PlayStation is the true embodiment of a creative entertainment company with a solid foundation of technology. And it's our mission to embrace the entire creative community, elevating their content on our platform for PlayStation fans. That commitment will carry us through as we embark on the launch of our next generation console, PlayStation 5, coming this holiday. And I'm pleased to share with you today, for the first time, our...
Coming when? Yo, when the PlayStation 5 coming out?
And I'm pleased to share with you today, for the first time, our new logo for PlayStation fans. That commitment will carry us through as we embark on the launch of our next generation console, PlayStation 5, coming this holiday. And I'm pleased to share with you today, for the first time, our new logo. With more people in the world playing more games on more devices than ever before, it's truly an exciting time for the gaming industry. Come this holiday, Sony will once again have the opportunity to shine a light on the world of PlayStation with our next generation console. We've announced several key features of the PS5 hardware, which has been engineered with customizations that will truly differentiate the platform, including future-proof technology such as ultra-high-speed SSD, 3D audio, Ultra HD Blu-ray, and a brand new controller with haptics and adaptive trigger buttons. With that foundation, PS5 will inspire developers to create expansive worlds with new gameplay experiences that are more immersive than ever before in how they look, sound, and feel. Our promise to the 100 million strong PlayStation community is to offer the biggest and best in content, and to deliver unique experiences to gamers with unprecedented speed. There's much more to share about PlayStation 5 in the months ahead, and we look forward to revealing more details, including the content that will showcase the platform and the future of gaming. Community is the bedrock of how we grow our company, and it's why our brand is so beloved. It's that promise that the PlayStation brand was built on 25 years ago, and we'll continue our mission to bring that to players all around the world. Thank you.
What about learning data science? You know, you should take this online data science course on Udemy. It's taught by an expert in
See, I heard it. Coming this holiday season. Now, like you said, we'll have we'll be coming out with some more information about the specs, the content, all that shit later on. We'll hit y'all with that shit in a little while. But they didn't even show the console. All they did was show the logo. So, my main question is, yo, they said it's going to be backwards compatible all the way to PS1. That's a rumor. But the price range, what's it going to be? How much? How much you think it's gonna cost, yo? 600, 650? I'm thinking that shit gonna be a little bit more than $600, yo. $599. That's what I was thinking, yo. Like, it's gonna be, like you say, even if it is $599.99 with the taxes and everything and the game and the extra controller and this and that, bro, that shit gonna be like $700, $800 for everything to get the whole setup. You know what I'm saying? To get the bundle with the camera, the other, you know, like I'm saying, all that shit, man. Yeah, that's the $599.99. That's gonna be the basic, the goddamn console and the controller. That's it. No inbox game, no camera, no charger stand, no whatever else. I'm already looking to spend 700 on that bit. That's in my mind. Like I see that shit going right now. $700. But I pre-order all my shit though. As soon as they say they taking orders, let me put 250 down, please. I probably don't put that much down. Let me put 150 down. I come put another 150 down next month. My PlayStation Pro, that shit's so dirty. Looking all sad and shit. You know what I'm saying? But damn, PS Pro, man. I got 2 on. That be my game plan too, though. I ain't gonna lie, yo. I got 2 PS Pros. So when the next joint come out, I'm just trade one of my shit in towards that shit. GameStop. Know what I'm saying? Trade that shit in. I'm gonna keep one PS4 Pro and get one new one, the PS5. Then I had a PS3, the PS4, and the PS5. That it. With the PS4 Pro trade-in, the Pro and a controller, and probably a couple games, I might be able to knock like, I don't know, man, $150 off. Cause they don't give you, GameStop don't give you shit for your trade-ins. I wonder how much will they give you for a PS4 Pro? It'd probably be like $60. $60? What the fuck, nigga? You serious? $60? That's all it's worth, man, for trade-in value, $60. The motherfucker take a $60 game and give you $8 for that shit. Like, damn, bitch. This shit just came out yesterday. Oh, the white PS4? Damn. Well, I pre-ordered 2 fucking, damn, let me see, yo. I ain't gonna lie, yo. When this last generation consoles came out, bro, I pre-ordered 2 PS4s and 2 Xbox Ones. And then when the PS4 Pros came out, just traded in the 2 PS4s I had and got 2 PS4 Pros. And then I had that, like I said, the Xbox One. I trade that shit in for something else just cause I ain't really like the Xbox, man. Fuck that shit. I had 2 fucking VR headsets. This is when me and my ex was together, yo. She was a gamer too, yo. We just pre-ordered everything, yo. Got the 2 VR headset bundles day one. As soon as them shits came out, man, I go pick my shit up, nigga. 2 VR headsets. I don't see the other picture with all the consoles we had lined up. Yeah, one picture with fucking, it was the 2 PS4 boxes and the 2 Xbox One boxes. All them shit stacked on top of each other. That was that shit, yo. Yeah, I must be didn't save that picture. Peace. Cafe Blunts. I wanna open up the pot gallery. You know what I'm saying? You know, if I come to the pot gallery, right after they leave Cafe Blunts, go have a nice mocha loca cappuccino in the backwood. And then they can come to the pot gallery and check out some art and eat a fucking infused strawberry tartare or a Rice Krispie treat or whatever the fuck you want to have. You know what I'm saying? Brownies, some crepes, shit like that. Motherfucker gotta think outside the box, man. Gots to be a different way to get it. They'll come to the gallery. Motherfucking a gallery where you can fucking partake in some herbals and watch the art. Yo, look at the art. Who wouldn't want to do that? Look, you got hella quiet just now.
Dr. Steve Sugarroot here. The number one question that I get about my new money documentary is, okay, so how...
I'm away right now.
And on that note, we're going to get to something roughly similar. We've got Alonzo in Virginia. You're on with Jen and Matt.
Hey Matt, hey Jen.
Hey.
Great to see you. This is my first time actually watching you guys live, so that's great. So what I've been doing recently is I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos that have Matt in them, and
I'm sorry.
And I was like, yeah. Well, one of the things that you said in one of those videos was that you weren't completely sure that if, say Jesus or Thor or whatnot came down from the sky, that you could believe that they were God. Is that still kind of your view?
How would you tell? Like if somebody came down and revealed themselves and said, I am Jesus and I am divine, how would you prove either of those?
That it's him. That it's not some guy that just walked off his fire escape 8 stories up and it's a cloudy day. How do we not know?
Right. Well,
that's a legit question.
Yeah, no, it's an.
Can you answer it?
Yeah, so basically, here's kind of my perspective and what I was thinking. There's kind of 2 kinds of gods. You have this, the tri-omni God, and then you have pretty much every other god that's ever existed, like, Thor and...
Okay, there's 2 kinds of people. There's... you can do this all day long.
Yeah.
There's many different types of God categories. I'm just saying, you were asking me because people had asked, hey, if Jesus came down and revealed himself to you. Now, if it were in fact Jesus, and he in fact was divine, and he had some way of revealing and demonstrating this to me, of course I would believe.
Right.
My question is, the example that people give presumes quite a bit. Presumes that this is something that could happen or could be self-evident. I'm just saying, if somebody comes down and says, hey, I'm Jesus and I'm divine, how could you prove either of those things?
Right. Well, the easy way is, let's not say use Jesus. Let's use, say, Thor as an example. Let's say Thor comes down, he's got this hammer, he spins it and he throws it, and it comes back. Somebody eats his goats, and he says, okay, let's take those goat bones and remake the goats and whatnot.
Okay, so now you've got someone who's claiming to be Thor, and I'm assuming Thor in a god sense,
right?
And he can do a magic trick with a hammer, and he can revive dead goats that have been ripped to pieces, right?
I haven't picked a bones. I think he's
now. How did he do either one of those things?
I don't think it matters. How he did it. We can just observe that he did.
But then what do we have to test against if this guy's lying and pulling a magic trick over an actual miracle, quote unquote? If we can't say how he did it, how do we know it's not the Loch Ness Monster? How do we know it's not Bigfoot in pictures? Why would that make us believe that it was real?
The time to believe something is after there's evidence for it. Right. Now, if somebody showed up, claimed they were Thor, threw their hammer, it came back to them. What I would believe is that they're able to throw their hammer and have it come back to them. If they were able to take dismembered goats and put them back together and bring them back to life, what I would believe is that they're able to take dismembered goats and bring them back to life. Those would both be incredibly impressive, but if I don't have the ability, this is why Arthur C. Clarke pointed out that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. There's a knowledge threshold. There's something where beyond that, I just don't understand. It does not enter my ken. I can't understand it. And so to proclaim that this person is in fact a god or is in fact doing something supernatural would be to claim that I have an understanding of the supernatural sufficient to reach that conclusion. And I don't see that anybody else does, and nobody's come up with a mechanism to show this. So it reminds me when I debated Lacona, and he was like, well, if somebody came in and chopped my head off, and you went out in the lobby, and I walked out with my head back on, wouldn't you call that a miracle? And I'd say, well, there's a lot of questions there, but what I would believe is that you had your head chopped off, and now your head's back on. But the how and why behind it and what the explanation is, I don't know.
Right. So basically, one of the things I wanted to get to was the fact that most gods are basically sufficiently powerful beings from, Clarke's definition, as it were, and that if a sufficiently powerful these sufficiently powerful beings, exist. If that makes sense.
I would be fine to accept that a sufficiently powerful being exists to do what was demonstrated, but this is how you make cargo cults. I'm talking about whether or not something is actually supernatural. There are magic tricks that I can do that would make me a god to incredibly primitive people, but that doesn't mean I am. Just because something's happening that's beyond their understanding doesn't mean that it rises to the level of the supernatural. People have been faking the supernatural for as long as we've been around, as far as I can tell.
For as long as there's been religion.
I'm just not arrogant enough to say I have in fact discovered and confirmed the supernatural just because I don't know how something was done.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that would be basically a supernaturalism of the, yes, I don't know how it's done, therefore it must be supernatural.
Right, that's a fallacy.
That's a fallacy, right. And that does not push either one of us to believe. We want to see how it was done. We want to know why it was done.
If somebody can demonstrate that the supernatural exists, and how we can test for that, then I'm fine with the supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody's done that. What's happened is we've had a monumentally lengthy history of human beings who think they've done that or claim they've done that, and every time we've been able to test to actually verify if they're correct, they've not been correct. In all of history, every time we've found the actual cause for something, it has never been supernatural. There are still questions we don't have an explanation for, and it would be just as much of a mistake for us to presume that the explanation is supernatural for those things as it was for lightning being caused by Zeus.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Hey, thanks for your response there. There's a couple of other things I want to ask you about, and this one kind of actually ties in, is how do you feel about what are called supernatural hallucinations, say from mushrooms or whatnot? They're one of the things that...
Why would you call them supernatural?
Why would they be a supernatural phenomenon?
I've taken hallucinogenics. We've studied hallucinogenics.
Yes.
You have a brain that is altered, that is seeing things that aren't there. What on earth would possess you to think that they're seeing something that's real and that the explanation is then also supernatural?
Well, think about it like this, okay? You have visual hallucinations, say, okay? And what that would indicate is that, yes, these specific visual hallucinations I'm having are not real, okay? And so having what we might describe as spiritual hallucinations indicates that we might have some sort of spiritual sense, which perhaps implies the spiritual reality.
No, even if we have, so what we have is flawed understandings of things, and so we're not sensing the supernatural, we're experiencing something and calling it supernatural.
Right.
When I see something, when I'm on drugs, I call it a hallucination only to the extent that I'm aware that what I'm experiencing has no corollary in reality as far as I can tell. If it turns out that something that I saw on an acid trip is actually gazing into a world beyond our own, I still don't know that it's supernatural. And until somebody comes up with a way to actually investigate that, it's just a cool trip.
Right. And as far as spiritual awakenings, and we've heard these spiritual retreats with peyote, with acid, and everything else.
DMT, ayahuasca.
DMT, right. You have to remember that you're coming into this trip, which severely alters your brain, with these kind of preconceptions and this is already what I believe. And I don't give a shit what anyone says. If you're going to take something like that, you're hyping yourself up before. I'm going to see some cool shit. I'm going to feel some cool shit. So you're already setting the stage for you to feel some out-of-body experience that you're going to equate to spirituality, if that's what you believe in. There's nothing supernatural about this. It's your brain's own programming about what you believe.
As far as we can tell. And so, have you seen Empire Strikes Back?
Yes, I have. I love Star Wars.
Sweet. Jen just watched all of them this week.
Yes, this is fresh for me.
You remember when Yoda's training Luke, and he's getting ready to head in there, and he says, "What's in there?" And he says, "Only what you take with you." That's what goes into a trip as far as we can tell. All of the baggage of your brain, whatever expectations you have, and then an altered chemical state. I'm not saying there's nothing more than that. I'm saying if there's more than that, somebody would need to demonstrate it. The same as Thor reviving goats.
Okay, awesome. Hey, it was really great to get your thoughts on that. There's only one thing kind of like Dr. Speaker talked about before I'm done, is one of the things is that skepticism seems to be basically, hey, we're going to ask questions about these things. And can you call yourself a Christian, honestly going through and, being skeptical about everything and then reaching the conclusion that God does indeed exist?
That's a great question.
That's a great question.
And the answer is yes, you can call yourself whatever the hell you want. But if, as other people have pointed out, if you think that you've used skepticism and reached the conclusion that there is in fact a God,
have you used skepticism correctly?
I think you've used skepticism incorrectly, because if you could do that, if a God claim could withstand the rigors of inquiry such that a critical examination would actually confirm a God's existence, you would have essentially proved God and fundamentally changed the world.
Right.
Skepticism isn't about a list of positions.
No.
It's about a method of understanding reality and trying to have the best understanding you can. It doesn't mean that you're going to be a perfect thinker. It doesn't mean you're not going to make mistakes. So you can be a skeptic and be a Christian, but you're probably doing one of them or both of them poorly.
You could be skeptical about your Christianity.
Or you could call yourself a Christian and just have we've had some people call with some really unique versions of Christianity. In much the same way that there's like the Jews for Jesus, there are these skeptical, the non-theistic Jesus acolytes. And so they would call themselves Christian. Mm-hmm. Like take Thomas Jefferson, for example. If you go look at the Jefferson Bible, he chopped out everything that had anything to do with miracles or whatever and just took the words from Jesus that he considered to be wisdom. And so you could call yourself a Christian in that context and believe nothing supernatural.
Mm-hmm. You could be skeptical about religion and be religious. You can question it. But to call yourself a skeptic Christian?
It's unusual. You could call yourself that.
Sure.
I'd want to know more. Because I'm a skeptic.
Okay.
Because then we'd have to get into, well, why are you being a skeptic about your Christianity?
What do you mean when you say you're a Christian? What do you mean when you say you're a skeptic?
Why are you questioning it to begin with in the first place? And then we can get the ball rolling on, well, are you really a Christian? Are you solid in your faith?
Yeah, but the problem is that I don't get to define what is or isn't a true Christian.
Right.
And that's why people can call me and say, I'm a Christian and I don't believe in anything supernatural and I don't believe in this and I don't believe in that. But there was this alien guy who came down from another planet and he was Yeshua and that's why he didn't have a father and he, all this other stuff. You can come up with whatever you want and call it Christian.
Right. Okay. Well, one of the things is that I feel like I'm constantly, questioning my faith, trying to see if it holds up against reality. And for me, at the least, I feel like it has, and.
Well, what kind of test have you done that passed? Because that would be interesting.
So I've got to, I guess, back up a little bit in terms of my experience. Is that I feel like I've had. Experiences of God in my life where God has, come to me and directly talked to me. And it's not always what I wanted to hear at the time, and so
I'm gonna interrupt because I kind of have to.
Yeah.
Because also we're running short on time. But I need clarification on some things. You say God's talked to you. Is it an audible voice or a feeling or what?
A vision or, yeah.
So for me, it's just like somebody talking to me,
Like you hear it through your ears or in your head?
In your head.
In my head.
Okay, so it's not like somebody talking to you. So you said it was like somebody talking to you. When people talk to me, I don't just hear it in my head. I hear it through my ears clearly.
That sounds more like an inner voice kind of grappling with yourself and being skeptical about yourself.
Now the next question is, so you have this experience where you perceive it as someone communicating with you. We won't necessarily have to label it telepathy or whatever,
right.
But in your head, how do you determine that voice is anything other than you and what your brain does? And then after you've determined that it's something other than you and what your brain does, how did you determine that it's likely to be a god as opposed to some technology you don't understand?
So for me, I'm always in my head, if you know what I mean. You're constantly listening to yourself and how you talk to yourself. Does that make sense? And the God voice in my head, as it were, it doesn't talk to me in that same tone, as it were.
Are you saying like the same pitch and the same reasoning that you would normally talk to yourself?
Basically, I'm not sure how to describe it. It's like how I know that Jen's voice and Matt's voice are different. They just sound different.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure, but the thing is, you have a normal. Let's get away. We'll call it a voice,
Yeah.
and we're using that incredibly loosely. So there's a normal voice, tone, thought process, whatever that goes on in the internal dialogue that you tend to have with
I
yourself.
would prefer to use
And then there's something that you sense as different in quality about a second internal dialogue that doesn't appear to you to be you talking with you. Okay. Have you talked to a therapist, a psychologist at all to determine whether or not you're suffering from schizophrenia, from
other mental
any sort of other mental aberrations that might account for this?
Actually, I have, and as far as, we've been able to tell, it doesn't seem like it's a schizophrenic type of thing.
Cool. So you've got some inner dialogue that's you and another inner dialogue that you don't feel
that is
is
not
you.
you.
How do you figure out what that other inner dialogue is?
What do you mean? I'm sorry, didn't quite parse that.
Okay. So in the way that you can tell the difference between Jen's voice and my voice, you can tell the difference between these two inner dialogues, you talking with you versus you talking with what you perceive to be God.
Mm-hmm.
How did you determine that it is in fact something other than you, and rather than just another way that your brain might communicate with itself?
That's the question.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I don't want to waste time, and basically that's a good question. I'm going to have to think about that.
Because I just realized
out of time. I'll just say bye. It was great talking to you.
I just realized I'm fucking crazy. Why did you guys make me confront my craziness live on camera like that? You know what? That is a good question. I'm gonna have to. I'm fucking crazy. Shit.
I'm not sure how to describe it. It's like how I know that Jen's voice and Matt's voice are different. They just sound different.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure, but the thing is, you have a normal. Let's get away. We'll call it a voice, and we're using that incredibly loosely. So there's a normal voice, tone, thought process, whatever that goes on in the internal dialogue that you tend to have with yourself.
I would prefer to use
And then there's something that you sense as different in quality about a second internal dialogue that doesn't appear to you to be you talking with you. Okay. Have you talked to a therapist, a psychologist at all to determine whether or not you're suffering from schizophrenia?
Actually, I have. That sounds like a lie.
Any sort of other mental aberrations that might account for this?
Actually, I have.
Actually, I have.
As we've been able to tell, it doesn't seem like it's a schizophrenic type of thing.
Cool. So you've got some inner dialogue that's you, and another inner dialogue that you don't feel is you. How do you figure out what that other inner dialogue is?
What do you mean? I'm sorry, I didn't quite parse that.
Okay. So in the way that you can tell the difference between Jen's voice and my voice, you can tell the difference between these two inner dialogues, you talking with you versus you talking with what you perceive to be God.
Mm-hmm.
How did you determine that it is in fact something other than you, and rather than just another way that your brain might communicate with itself?
That's the question.
I would let you.
Here we go.
I don't want to waste time, and basically that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to think about that. Since y'all are running out of time, I'll just say bye. It was great talking to you.
Thank you for calling.
Have a great day.
Thanks, Alonzo. It's one of those things where not everybody can be an expert in text methodology and other stuff. I have a particular set of skills. Having done hardware and software QA for a number of years, having spent a lot of time analyzing arguments and looking for flaws, and looking at the assumption, and as being a magician since I was 3, I know how people fool themselves, and I know the questions that they don't ask, because the magician's job quite often is to close the doors on those questions, so that if you ask them, they seem, oh no, that can't be that. Let me move over here. They sometimes get
illusion.
Sometimes gets inappropriately labeled as misdirection, but it's just direction. We're directing you in certain ways so that you're not over here. When you say, hey, I've had these experiences and I put them to the test. Okay.
I've always loved that. I put them to the test. How?
What were the tests? Show me the tests, because the same thing that we're hearing from Alonzo, we would hear from someone who thinks that they speak with the dead.
Yes. Or somebody that speaks with the dead, or somebody that I've seen speak with pets, or people, those crack me up. I'm like, wow, you can translate meow now. That's fantastic. Or somebody that is saying that not even the dead, but not God, but spirits and angels, they speak to them. And
there's a lot of things.
It's $1 million industry for people that do this shit too.
Yep.
But to me, this sounds like just a different internal monologue. I know myself. Go and do it. No, honey, can we not, please? 2 totally different friggin' voices. They sound like me, but they're pitch. And one is the reasonable one, and one's the stupid teenager that will never leave me. But
I did that yesterday. I wanted to get a 12-string guitar because I wanted one forever, and I don't have one.
Yes, the guitar.
And so I went up and I played around, and there was the angel me and the devil me sitting on my shoulders, and of course I'm being figurative. But yeah, we do stuff like that.
Right,
but it could be that
it devalues. Well, I heard God speak to me. No, honey, you heard yourself speak to you, and this is a rational way to work out the things that you need to work out in your head. Why are you taking the credit from yourself for that?
It would be nice. The thing is, I can't prove that it's him talking to himself.
Right.
But that's not the problem. The problem is he's convinced it's not.
It's not.
And how did you reach that conclusion? And so there's a problem of people not asking the right questions. I just posted a video the other day that begins with a question. You should watch the whole video at some point. But why do mirrors reverse things left to right instead of top to bottom? For some people, they've never heard that question before, and they hear it, they're like, wow, that is weird. Because, you could turn the mirror and everything else. And it turns out it's the wrong question. Because mirrors, we don't reverse things left to right.
Today, your information is more exposed than ever. When you shop, bank,
oh,
that's
shit.
True.
John in Tennessee, thanks for waiting. You're on with us.
Hey, Matt, appreciate you letting me come on the show. How you guys doing?
Sure.
I'm great. Thank you for calling.
So I came across your show a couple weeks ago and watched some of your debates, Matt, Jordan Peterson, some of the other folks. Found it interesting and watched a bunch of your show. And well, the observation I've had is that a huge portion of your arguments against God's existence, not from a pure theistic or atheist perspective, but it seems to be founded in your observations of potential fallacies in man-made religion.
Okay, so
this conversation,
we have to fix that, because I really don't have that much in the way of arguments against God's existence, and I'm not even claiming that a God doesn't exist. Pointing out the problems in the arguments for God's existence is enough to hold the default position, which is I'm not convinced that there's a God, and until such time as those arguments actually show themselves to be reasonable, I shouldn't be convinced.
Right.
And that's what I had concluded. I was referring specifically in context of most of your arguments I hear you make to other people are in regard to scripture fallacies and stuff like that.
Oh, no, that's not even close to the last piece. That's not even close to most of it. Most of the arguments, most of the classical arguments for God's existence apply to any of the gods that would fit within classical theism, any of the Abrahamic gods and any others. But when I point out fallacies in reasoning, it's actually more addressing the notion of the supernatural and things like that.
Right. So the purpose of my call is to have a conversation. I'm not going to reference anything from the Holy Books, spirituality, altered states of consciousness. My my purpose is to make arguments from known observable science, genetics, quantum mechanics, linguistics, and then use logic to create directly comparable analogies and to argue that it's more logical and plausible that a creator, not from a specific theistic perspective, but a creator in general, is more likely than, and the evidence would support the existence of that entity existing, not that we exist through accident, random chance, laws of natural selection, things of that nature. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it sounds like a butt ton.
Well, I think it is. I spent quite a few years researching this.
Well, the other thing to remember is that we have 6 lines, so there's 500 people waiting.
Can we piece some of this out?
Why don't you just start with your best argument for the existence of a God?
Okay, before I do that, I want to make sure we're the same starting point. So, is it your position that God must be proven beyond all doubt to exist? As I've heard you say, you need to see him face to face, for example. Or do you agree that a plausible argument based on physical evidence, observable and acceptable by science, will be enough to reach the conclusion that a higher power exists?
Well, you can't do that with science, just like you can't do it with mathematics. There's no variable for God. So I don't hold that you can be absolutely certain of anything, so I never hold that something would need to be proven beyond all doubt. Different claims required...
Okay, so plausible arguments, okay.
Not all claims are created equally, and so different quantities and qualities of evidence would need to be presented for various claims.
So from a logical and observable perspective, would you agree that without intelligence of some level, language can form? Like syntax, context, and determination will be used as the method of information transfer.
Well, you said without intelligence, language can form, and I think you meant can't.
Can't.
Are you saying without it, it can form?
I'm saying that language can form in the absence of intelligence? No.
Yep. Okay. Do you agree that...
No, hang on. I just acknowledged that I'm not saying that language can form in the absence of intelligence. That doesn't mean that I'm asserting anything.
Okay. Would you agree that binary code is a language and that without it, or another language used for the same purpose, the technology we're using right now to communicate could not exist? Or at least not without a different method of communication being designed, but not without a direct cause that requires intelligence?
So nothing about the nature of a binary bit itself is code. Code is what we use when we describe using ones and zeros or some other mathematical construct to encode language.
The syntax of binary was designed by a human, right?
Yeah, the syntax of the binary language that we use in computers was, but it didn't have to be that way.
No.
Okay. Would you agree that DNA is a quaternary programming language that has syntax, context, and a plethora of logic rules for
No.
No.
Well, scientists would agree otherwise.
No. So here's the thing. You can. Here's the John. Yes, you're going to find scientists who are going to agree with anything, but the scientists that talk about DNA as a language are using it as an analog. What we're talking about are chemicals that are self-replicating that create these structures. And so it can be viewed as a language, just like many other things can be viewed as a language in a form of analogy, but not as a language that was intentionally constructed to convey information, to pass a thought from an intelligence to another intelligence.
Okay, so from that context, are you arguing that any form of technology could form without a prior blueprint that has been created from a language that was utilized by intelligence to form it? And where I'm going with that is I would strongly disagree with your argument on scientists not saying it's a language.
Nobody had to have a blueprint.
Right.
Nobody had to have a blueprint for a lever or a wheel. So yes, technology doesn't necessarily require an actual blueprint and intelligence. Some bits of technology begin just as discoveries of the physical facts, and then we build from them.
Right. Okay. So that's interesting. You said we build from them, and we're using existing components from an intelligent perspective to achieve an objective, right?
Yes.
So I'm wondering if your knowledge of nanotechnology that exists inside of our every life form is lacking, because there's not too much in our cells that are the equivalent of a lever. It's highly functional technologies that some of which operate on a quantum level and blow the mind of high-level synthetic chemists right now that are trying to accomplish anything in the remote same realm. We're not talking about levers. We're talking about AI robots that are building and deconstructing things. And just to transcribe
cool story.
DNA. It's not a story, it's a fact.
Oh, no, but it's a really cool story because you've become so enamored at the cell level that you haven't even addressed how it got to that level.
That cell level, thank you.
Because what I'm talking about is...
I have, actually, and you're denying...
Listen, John, I mean you didn't address it in this call. I'm not assessing your entire study for your entire life. When I talked about how the simplest forms of technology don't require any necessary intelligence, they're a recognition of physical things in the universe. Similarly, while we don't have a full understanding of how abiogenesis occurred, or the full process that led to a modern cell, there is nothing that necessarily requires that something magical or intelligent agent necessarily needs to step in when what we're talking about are chemicals interacting under the laws of physics. The fact is the fact is you are looking at something and saying, wow, this is really complex. I don't see how that could have happened without an intelligent, and that is by definition an argument from personal incredulity. The fact that you may not know how it happens doesn't mean that you can then conclude that it's more plausible or more likely that it came from an intelligence, because you would need to demonstrate that such an intelligence exists and is possible and plausible to exist.
Okay, so the reason I started this off with syntax and language and all those different variables not
is because you expected me to agree that DNA is a code, and I don't.
Actually, I didn't expect you to agree to it, but
you sure sounded like you did.
Well, because if you go and you do some basic research, every geneticist on this planet will disagree with you on the fact that there are
You're on hold.
Oh, we're doing timeouts today? Yay for a timeout.
I would agree with you that if you did some basic research, you would find that geneticists would refer to DNA as a code. And if you do something beyond basic research, you'll find out what I actually told you, which is that this is an analogy, and none of them, or no significant portion of them, are claiming that, wow, this genetic code must have come from an intelligence, and when they say that it's a code, that they mean it is a transmission of information from an intelligence to an intelligence. You have to do more than the basic research, John. That's my point.
So, am I going to know?
I don't know. Did you listen?
I did listen.
What did I say?
You said that geneticists would say that chemical reactions and doesn't infer intelligence to intelligence.
Okay.
However, the data transfer, that's the whole point of talking about information, is that the foundational premise is whether or not data can come from without the intelligence being there existing prior to. Which is the whole point of why I said, can technology of high levels in the format in which we're talking about, nanotechnology, robots, the microphone we're using, the internet, etc., would any of that be possible without intelligence? To which you agreed, as I recall.
No, I didn't. No. You're recalling incorrectly because you didn't listen and you don't know the difference between affirming the consequent and rejecting a negative.
High-level technology is totally different than what you're talking about.
No, I didn't. Goodbye, John.
Bye-bye.
Do you want to say goodbye?
Yes.
Okay. If you go back on the call, what you asked, and this is why I paused to make sure that John understood it, was that I'm not asserting what is or is not required for any level of technology. So when I said I'm not asserting that that technology must or must come from an intelligence, I'm also not asserting that it cannot come from an intelligence. And so when you look at something like a microphone, the reason that we know that it was designed is because we have mountains of evidence for that and no evidence of microphones coming about by natural causes. John's problem is that he seems to think that we recognize design by complexity.
By complexity, yes.
You don't.
No.
You recognize design by contrasting it with that which naturally occurs. You only get to claim that something is designed when you can show that it is designed, and you do that by beginning by contrasting with nature and then finding out the how and why behind it when it was designed. But when you talk about cells, all of the evidence points to cells being something that evolved naturally without a guiding hand.
Just because it's complex does not mean intelligent design had to be put behind it.
And the thing that John wants to call data, because there's this information theory about DNA. Oh, well, it's a quaternary code and it's conveying information. No. There's no mind involved, and I would argue that there is no true data involved, and that all of these are just analogies. And you might as well have taken a glass of water, put some Kool-Aid mix in it, stirred it all up, strained it out repeatedly, taken a sip and said, wow, still tastes a little like Kool-Aid. That and the Kool-Aid taste is the data that you're claiming survived that process. It's still just chemicals. And so far as we can tell, a microphone isn't going to form itself. Has no way of forming itself. Oh, wait a minute, what about life? Nobody's cracked that question. So the best you can do is say, hey, there are mysteries to life that we don't have a current scientific explanation for or don't have a full explanation for, and I will agree.
And be okay with that. We don't need to know the answer for everything. We don't need to, this is why it happened. No, we're still figuring it out. It's okay.
And when you're going to start talking about probabilities and plausibility, how do you determine that a God is more plausible or more probable than nature when we have evidence for nature and no evidence for gods? We don't have a God we can examine. We don't have a
God that we can test DNA samples against.
We don't have a single example of a God ever doing anything. And yet you're assuming that there is a God, it can do stuff, it has done stuff, and yet somehow it's hiding from us.
And it can create everything. But he just doesn't want to talk right now. He's having his time away. Interpreted text from God.
But Matt, you've made yourself a God. I didn't make myself a God. It just happened.
Oh, wow.
It's an evolving process. Pick somebody else.
I like that it's a vibe. Oh my God. I hate that you make me do this and put me on the spot.
You want to go to Elaine?
Yeah, let's go to Elaine. That's the next one I was going to do is Elaine.
Hey, Elaine in Illinois. Thanks for waiting. You're on with Jen and Matt.
Hi, Elaine.
Hi, Jen and Matt.
How you doing?
Can I first say this? Do you all know about who I am?
Yes, you emailed. You were shot 9 times and survived.
Okay, so first we're going to get this out the way. Jen, no offense to you, Jen, but this is directly me and Matt that's having this conversation.
Oh, I've been
Actually, no, we're not. Goodbye.
Oh.
You don't dictate who gets to talk on this show. That's my job. So for those who want, Jen is a good friend of mine who's here for promoting GB3 and come on the show. But the caller, Elaine, has been on like Maury or something. She was shot 9 times and wanted to call in to basically tell her story, I'm pretty sure, so she can hawk more books about how she's a miracle. And she should go learn some more about statistics and maybe read up on people like Mala Yousafzai, who was shot in the head.
The friend that I had that was literally shot in the street 9 times. And lived.
The fact that somebody was shot and lived is, if anything, works and the damage that bullets can and can't do depending on how and where you're shot, and the marvelous advances in medical technology to where in 2015, for example, there were some 80,000 people or so who were shot in the United States, and then like 30,000 or so of them died. So now we're talking about 2/3 didn't die, then it's about where they got hit and how often, and even if, there was one of the kids from Columbine got shot and bullet fragments ripped through his brain while he remained lucid, and he's still around today.
I have a military friends of mine who have been deployed 4, 5, 6, 7 times. They have shrapnel in their brains. They have bullets they're walking around with that were completely lucid after being blown up.
Yeah, and they wanted us to know that she still has bullets in her body, and so do some friends of mine, so do some friends of hers. None of this, while you may be a rarity within humanity, that you were shot 9 times, you still carry around a couple bullets, and you're alive, none of that points to a miracle, a God, or anything else, nor could it, because the fact that you survive is independent from how and why you survived. And you don't get to say that it's because of a God unless you can actually demonstrate that. And if you could demonstrate that, you would probably get a Nobel Prize.
Right.
But you didn't, Elaine. Malala did. And she's a Muslim who is trying to defend the rights of Muslim women to get education. So if anybody has a stronger claim than you, it would be her. Reconstructive surgery, all that stuff. So,
and I believe she still held her faith after.
Yeah.
So if anybody's going to make the argument of my God loves me more, it's going to be her.
So what really needs to happen is you need to get a hold of her.
Yeah.
And you two have a conversation about whose God saved whom. And then whichever one of you ultimately wins out, you can call back then and tell me that you're only talking to me. Because then I'll hang up again.
I was looking forward to that one.
I was too. But so for interest, she sent in this email, which was actually twice, which was in all caps, to basically let me know that she didn't think she was going to be treated fairly because she was an African American woman, and we were all ready. I actually, that's how I have that statistic on hand. I actually went and looked up some information about the number of shooting incidents.
I'm so excited. I'm like, I actually know this. I can talk about this. Like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it, but don't you dare call in and say who is or isn't going to talk on this show. So I'm going to hit on Christmas for just a second. On Friday, I was supposed to be on a Christian radio program in Minneapolis, which also streams live over the internet, but they were having problems with their phones, so they postponed it, and they're wanting to have me back after the first of the year, which is a little unfortunate because they were actually talking about Christmas, and if they had me back after the first of the year, I won't kind of get to say my piece. But they were advocating for the angel trees, the Salvation Army thing, where people put their children up on the trees, and then you go and you pick one off, and you get the items on the wish list, give it to the Salvation Army, and they bag it all up. And just by happenstance, my company volunteered to do charity work for the holidays. And I spent Friday afternoon from 1 to 4 at the Salvation Army thing, stuffing toys into bags for kids. And somebody out there just went, "You did what?" Because I have a lot of problems with the Salvation Army in general, but I don't have a lot of problems with doing nice things for people, as long as you're not, adding proselytizing and other stuff like that in there. And so it was really, it was a little fun and a little heartbreaking, because unfortunately, you'd get a 5-year-old boy or girl, and you'd pick out toys, and I had to set aside some of my concerns about gender-divided toys, about what is a boy's toy versus what is a girl's toy. I had to set that aside. But I think, we managed to make a lot of kids happy that way. Unfortunately, there were also some 12 and 13-year-olds, and everything after age 10, it's slim pickings. There were very little clothes in the 11-year-old plus range. Very little age-appropriate toys in that range. And that, I was like, there's a bunch of 12 and 13-year-olds that are just going to hate me, but their little brothers and sisters are going to think I'm awesome. Except that they're not going to know that I did anything because it's all anonymous. But in the Christmas wars, which have been fun this year for me to watch, the only one I want to hit on is one quick one. Dave Silverman was on Fox News along with Bill Donahue from the Catholic League and Rabbi, I'm going to butcher his name, it's Shmuley or something like that?
Boutique or something like that.
I don't know. And they complained about a number of things, one of which is this satanic monument that the satanic group wants to put up in Oklahoma right next to the Ten Commandments monument. And while I don't think we should have any there,
and I think there's a really easy way to look at this. If I rent a house with 3 other people, so you've got me as an atheist, and I've got a Christian, a Jew, and a Muslim, and we each have our own bedrooms. We can decorate our own bedrooms and put up whatever religious or non-religious stuff we want, however. But the common areas downstairs, the living room, you don't get to permanently affix things for your religion because those are spaces that we share. Now, you can still make use of the living room and have a Bible study down there if your bedroom is too small or whatever, as long as we're all in agreement. We work out a schedule that is amenable to everybody, where we all have equal access, and where one person isn't dominating. That's pretty much the way the United States works, or should work, in that in your home, in your churches, even in your businesses in some cases, you can do pretty much whatever you want. And you can go out on the street, the public areas, the areas that belong to all of us, and you can wear your sandwich boards and talk about the end of being nigh and preach, and you can reserve the Capitol steps and stand up there and have a full-on Christian service right there in a temporary sense. But when you start putting permanent displays up on ground that belongs to all of us, now we've got a problem. And since we haven't been able to get the courts to really dig in on this and correct the problem by removing those displays, I'm all in favor of, let's let the Satanic Church put up, an 8-foot tall statue of Satan sneering at the 10 Commandments right next to him, because maybe then people will voluntarily start removing these permanent fixtures before we pollute the landscape so much that it's all you see.
Well, and this is the fallacy of this, let's give everybody equal time stuff.
Yeah.
Because at what point does it become just absurd when you have, not that, a creche and a satanic display side by side have gotten to the absurd point, but once we've littered the landscape with everybody's display out there, at some point it does get a little ridiculous. And as Rachel Maddow would say, what could possibly go wrong here, right?
So the other thing that they complained about is a Festivus pole made of beer cans that's going up, I think, somewhere in Florida. It was hilarious, first of all, to have Bill Donahue and a rabbi kind of teaming up to complain about this.
Yeah.
I'll just say this to Bill Donahue and the rabbi who were there. You guys look like a couple of douchebags. You really did. This idea that you somehow own Christmas or the season is patently absurd. 93% approximately of people in the United States celebrate Christmas, and yet less than 80% are actually Christians, which means there's a whole bunch of people who are not Christians who are celebrating. Meanwhile, there are Christian denominations that don't celebrate Christmas. And when you look at Christmas, when we take back the stuff that Christianity stole from other festivals and Saturnalia and the solstice and things like that, it's the reason Christmas is so popular. It's, first of all, it's commercial, and second of all, it's predominantly secular. Beth and I have actually driven around over the last week or so and cataloged 460 some odd houses that had outdoor displays, 0.2% of which have anything religious at all. And now, granted, that's Austin. It's not necessarily going to apply in your neighborhood, but Christmas is not just Christ Mass. And if we took away, let's get a divorce, Christians. Let's start splitting up the Christmas property between the two of us, and you get to keep all of the Christian stuff that you brought in, that is part of your religion, that is all about, tied up in Christmas time, and we will take everything else that isn't tied to your religion, which means you get baby Jesus in mangers. Oh, and you'll have to move it because you don't get December 25th. Because even if there was a Jesus, according to your Bible, he wouldn't have been born around December 25th. So you get to move that to some other weekend or some other period of time.
Right.
And we'll keep December 25th, and we'll keep Santa Claus and presents and elves and eggnog and wreaths and decorated trees and outdoor lights and gift giving and charity and all these wonderful things that are actually what make the... Now, I'm not saying that all atheists should celebrate whatever you want, for whatever reason you want, call it whatever you want, do it whatever you want. But when Bill Donahue and Rabbi Shmuley, I think it is, go on TV to complain about a Festivus poll, they sound like a couple of children who walked into the Chuck E. Cheese on their birthday and found out that somebody else was having a birthday party too. And that's just not fair, because this is our time to have fun. You shouldn't get to have any fun. You guys look so absolutely pathetic, and it was so awesome to see Dave sitting there between you, just kind of smiling and shaking his head, going, "Can I, do you guys need your diapers changed or something?"
All right, I'm out of here, guys. I'm hungry as fuck, yo. I'm about to go grab me something to eat and sit downstairs for a little while. I might be back up here later on today to work on this paint somewhere. I really do want to get this piece done so I can start on some other shit.